I love the Rapunzel. Is it a fairy tale? I love that. Yeah, a whole lot of fun.
And why would you say that's your favourite?
I love it because they actually made a Disney princess movie out of it, and our family all love it. We all get a laugh and everything, and it's just pretty. She's pretty. She has pretty flowers in her hair, and it's fun, and lots of songs, and yeah, simple.
I like not a specific story, but I like true stories about underdogs and rising above challenges and succeeding in whatever their chosen area is. So yeah, that'd be my favourite types of story.
Why would you like stories like that?
I don't know, I think they're inspirational to them, and I guess it gives us encouragement to overcome challenges in life, so I find that helps for me to apply that to my life as well.
I wonder what your favourite story is. There's something about a story that transcends cultures and times and generations. Stories that get passed down, stories that are centuries old that still relate to something deep within the human story. I think that's part of the power of storytelling. They, in a subtle way, speak to who we are as people and give us hope. So we're going to talk about stories today. Maybe have a time to think about your favourite story and why that is the case.
The story of Joseph, and it's just it's so beautiful how God puts strings in our heads, and someone can interpret them for us, so in life it guides us.
Stories have changed somewhat over time. Often today stories are mainly about entertainment, or even sometimes about selling us things. The power of storytelling is used for other purposes, but still there are good stories out there. We all love to listen to a good story. It takes us into somebody else's world, and when we hear a good story, we resonate with it. My son and I read The Lord of the Rings over the last couple of years.
A little hobbit named Frodo and his friend Sam. Gandalf told them about a magical ring that Bilbo had found, and they went off to put it in the fire of where it was made. It was made by the evil King Darklord, the Dark Lord, and if he got it, he would rule over the whole land. Frodo was brave because he was brave to start the journey.
What do you think the main message is?
Never give up.
There's a bit when Frodo wants to give up and Sam's encouraging him, and he says, "It's like all the great stories, Mr. Frodo. The ones that really mattered, full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer." Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going, because they were holding on to something. That there is some good in the world, and it's worth fighting for. It's like what you were saying, Max, about the message being not giving up. In stories like Lord of the Rings, these long tales, we see heroes and villains. We see struggles against adversity. And in that, I think we see the human story. We see ourselves in situations and struggles where we are, and they can give us hope for a good outcome. In stories, we feel for the characters as they're going through the struggle, and we're cheering them on as they try to conquer the adversary. And we see ourselves, I guess, in the end, where everything works out well. In a bigger sense, stories give life meaning. We all see things wrong in the world, and stories help explain why things are going wrong and what the solution to those problems might be. stories also give us a link to the past. Stories that get passed down through generations. They help us see where we've come from and help us work out where we're going. My favourite kind of story are true stories, stories from the past that teach us lessons that we shouldn't forget. You know, I think about stories in my own life, mistakes that I've made that I don't want to revisit. It's important to retell these stories. I can think of an example of, the Anzacs and those that fought in wars around the world. In Jacaranda Street in Ipswich, jacaranda trees were planted as a yearly reminder not to forget this important sacrifice. And I think it's the same with us. We need to retell stories so that we don't forget those important lessons. And some stories have the power to transform us, to see the world in a different way. My favourite story is of a king that came and made himself like ordinary people, that he would go to the houses of people that everyone else wouldn't have anything to do with, that in the end he made the ultimate sacrifice for those that he loved and cared about, and showed the world a new way of living where everybody has value, that the way to succeed in life is to become like the least, to care for the people that everyone else ignores. And that's a story that's still told today, thousands of years later, the story of Jesus. Stories like this make us think and see the world in a new way.
Favourite story is that all my life I feel as if I've been watched over. From a little child, being a legacy child, having a wonderful mother, having a gorgeous sister and no dad. But I just knew that God was with me. And I know people have prayed for me all my life. Life hasn't always been easy, but God is the strength of my life, and I'm very thankful.
Stories, I think, are something that we need to hear, to tell more often. And I'd encourage you to think about a time in your life where you can set apart time for telling stories in your families, in your groups of friends. On Thursday nights we have Song and Story, where we spend some time singing songs and sharing each other's stories. You're invited along to that every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I know it's a bit daunting coming into a Zoom call, but you can always tune in with your video off, that's fine too, and just listen in. More details in the description below. Encourage you to check that out. Thank you for joining us again here, and look forward to seeing you again next time.